make sure that I am connected everywhere I need to be connected and that my sound is fine. Those who are jumping in, just let me know. Just let me know if my sound is correct and everything is working. If you could just please do me that favor, just to confirm for me. And then we can head on from there. Today we're discussing a topic that feels, well, there's two topics, but the first one feels as though, man, it's an international topic, but maybe that's part of the issue. And I want to discuss different parts to this. Today we're going to be speaking about the Ballon d'Or, and then afterwards, Coach RULANI had some words, man. Coach RULANI had some words in his press conference. We'll speak about that a little bit, and then also jump into their match versus AHLY, maybe a preview of that. Hey, we've started. Anyway, guys, now that you guys have just confirmed with me about the sound, I think I'll just start the show. Welcome, everybody, to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mokwena. I am your host. The show is on every Monday to Friday, 12:30 in the afternoon, and then also Monday to Wednesday at 8 p.m. If you want to hear about any of the amazing conversations we've had and you want to watch them back, or you missed out on an episode or anything like that, they are available in full on Facebook and on YouTube. Yesterday, we had possibly the best conversation we've had on this platform when we were speaking about how the background of Banyana Banyana and the background of Safa in general stops the nation's our football national teams being loved out in public as much as the Springboks are and things like that. So we spoke about that yesterday, as well as Upitso. So if you want to watch any of those episodes, they are available fully, Facebook and YouTube. And if you want to add your voice to the show, you have to be following me and join me while I'm on TikTok. Those watching on Facebook and on YouTube, then there comes a time where I'll open up the lines. I'll click on the lines to be opened, and then a button will appear on your screen that says multi-guest. Click on that button, click on request, and I'll let you in order for us to have a conversation about what's going on. So, Ballon d'Or. The Ballon d'Or was announced. Was it last night or the previous night? Where Messi won his 8th trophy, with Haaland coming second, Mbappe, KDB, Rodri, Vinicius Jr., Julian Alvarez, Victor Osimhen, Bernardo Silva, and Luka Modric closing out the top 10. I think where I'm going to start with this is, let's explain a little bit about this Ballon d'Or. How does it work? This competition was founded in 1956 by France Football's Gabriel Hanot and Jacques Ferrand, as a way for journalists to vote for the best players in Europe. Initially, this was started as a European competition where only European players that play in European leagues would get voted for in that. Then in 1995, it was then opened up to non-Europeans, but had to be playing in Europe. And then only up until 2007, when any player in the world was then open to vote for. Also, it used to be all 180 countries on the FIFA rankings were given, they had journalists from those countries give their votes in, but then it was narrowed down to only 100 countries, with the thinking being that, the top 100 countries in the FIFA World Ranking, with the thinking being that you can only bring in journalists from countries that have an established football culture and regular access and coverage to the major leagues of the world. There's 3 criteria for the voting of these players. Number 1, individual performance in the previous season. Number 2, team success. And then number 3, player behavior and fair play. This ensures that there was a level of performance, and that performance actually helped the team, right? So they come up with a top 50. And then from that, that is sent to the 100 journalists, who then vote. Basically, it's 5 spaces from 5 to 1. You put in your best players, and then points are allocated to that. And the winner obviously has the most of it. Now, personally, I don't rate this award because it's a subjective award for me. Right? Personally, the criteria is far too open. So sometimes you find people voting on previous performance, which was some of the criteria before this 3 criteria was brought in, where people would just be voting. Previously, before, it was split into this and FIFA best. Captains used to have a vote. Captains and national team coaches used to also get votes, and those ballots looked very, 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 very weird, with people taking usually one of their own countrymen and then going Messi and Ronaldo, whoever was fighting at that point. So I want to hear from you guys. Number one, how we feel about this year, and then number two, how we feel about the award, because in as much as we speak about it as being a world award, it sometimes feels as though it's just for Europeans. And it doesn't matter how good of a season you have outside of Europe, you will not be looked at as a viable option to win that award. So I'm going to open up the lines and we can have the discussion about the Ballon d'Or awards. So please remember that you have to be following me on TikTok, and join me while I'm live on TikTok, and then we'll have this conversation. So guys, the lines are open. You are welcome to request. Just before that, okay, let's see. Well deserved for Messi. Theo says the GOAT himself. Java Juice says he deserves it. Java Juice says, I think it's wrong to talk about Messi because Penaldo fan. Are Penaldo fans? Kuba, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Sharp, wena, Ditsa.
No, okay, sharp. How do we get what in? Firstly, I'm going to ask you the obvious question. Did Messi deserve it this year?
No, never.
Why not?
First of all, I'm a Ronaldo fan.
No.
Ne? What can I say, man? I feel like Haaland deserved it more. I went to like even Mbappe could have had a genuine shot for Ballon d'Or. So Messi, this award for years, he hasn't been deserving of it. Ne? In fact, let's say Blata, Salavulela, Are, Messi is the best guy because he's much more approachable, he's nicer compared to Ronaldo, who comes across as arrogant. And he's been making jabs at Ronaldo. Korea wants for the biased they have towards Messi because he's a nice guy. That's why he always wins it.
So to you, is it fair that one of the three criteria is player behavior and fair play? Do you think that plays into why Messi wins it?
That's exactly why. In fact, Tore, I can even argue and say that category was made because they wanted Messi to win. Because I get fair play, that's discipline. I get fair behavior. No, if you're gonna go for a Ballon d'Or, it should be someone who makes an impact on his team, someone who is the best player at that time. Sharpo, the requirement should be based on what they have won, which is very controversial because sometimes you can win the World Cup or not win anything, but you have been the best player in your team. So this award, man, it's very opinion based and very biased. I guess it's voted for by the coaches and the journalists and stuff.
Well, this one now is just journalists. The coaches now go to FIFA Best.
Oh, okay. It's just journalists. Lona happy. Lona, what a controversial young happy. Because if I treat you, happy Ronaldo could the same guy. For example, Ronaldo could the same guy. Also, like cook in front of journalists. Some people that can leave a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouth. So if we give on it's a problem. And if we can nagadi fan, we're gonna have Dolu win the Ballon d'Or because you know I'm just saying, man.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna circle back. Theo, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you? Oh, Theo.
Hello, Mr. Oti. How are you?
I know we had this conversation in the WhatsApp group. We had the conversation. Tell me, did Messi deserve to win it?
First of all, let me greet everyone. And sadly, I thought you said you guys are when we're going to talk about the Ballon d'Or, not the GOAT debate, because that one was settled last year.
Ah, now
So,
we can
still
go
Ronaldo
debate.
too. Please don't include Ronaldo. No, don't bring Ronaldo in. Let's not talk about Ronaldo. Guys, Ronaldo should not even be part of the topic. He's number what 90 something, I think, in
Ah,
the top 100. Or I don't even know how did he get to the top 100, by the way. But
89. So
back to things that's still
839, that is
relevant.
rank.
Back, yeah,
889.
that ranking, yeah.
ah.
Thank you. The sad part for him to come in and even say that it shows Guti, it pains him. Guti is even and is even. But okay, back to what you asked, Mr. OT. Guys, I know it's not easy for a lot of people. I know a lot of people have opinions, and we're always gonna debate certain things. When it comes to Messi and Ronaldo, it's always a debatable situation. But now, it's a Ballon d'Or issue. It's no longer about who's the best in what goals. No, guys, we are talking about influence. We are talking about breaking a record or even creating history for that matter. I know a lot of I do this. I do think Messi deserved it, and Haaland as well was a very good competitor for him, even Mbappe. And I think Haaland. If Messi didn't win the World Cup, guys, and why am I saying if Messi didn't win the World Cup? Go and check Messi's game in each and every game in that World Cup. Go and check Messi's games in the Court America, guys. That guy, I saw him playing in Mr. Eti, he was even bruised on the heel. He played his heart out, gave Argentina a Copa America, comes to the World Cup, they lose the first game, he picks them up as a captain, mind you. They win every single game after that, scores in each and every game. You can't come to me and I love the fact, as I love when the World Cup is rigged. I love the fact that they showed that save Martinez. I love that when they showed that save Martinez. But okay, so when you are rigging a match, you even tell the goalkeeper to stretch. You tell the player, "Uchaye in his foot, aim for his foot," because that guy scores that goal. Argentina loses the World Cup, guys.
Okay.
So it's so sad that we are busy. We are trying so hard to make sure that Messi does not get the spotlight when he deserves it. This guy is 36. He won the World Cup with Abafana Bancane. He went to 2014 to the finals. He lost it, came back and won it. You can't tell me he doesn't deserve Ballon d'Or. He was involved in each and every match, creative, scoring, everything. Ufunan, Haaland, guys, I can make an example. I even said this to you, Mr. Oti, in the group. Ngati Haaland, Women City. Haaland is like, I can make an example. You can take out to Haaland and put Ronaldo in Man City. Ronaldo will do the very same thing Haaland did, even worse. It's not a matter of Haaland scoring goals. It's about him picking the team when it's down. Even right now, Man City is struggling because De Bruyne is not there. So if you say to me, Haaland is a star player at Man City, because you watch De Bruyne, you take out De Bruyne, Haaland is dead.
But then remember what I asked you.
You
Remember what I
cannot
asked
say
you.
Haaland deserved.
Remember what I asked you in return.
Yeah.
Remember what I said? If you
I
take out
don't-
Messi from
can you please
PSG,
refresh
what
my
does PSG do? Did they not win the previous year? Did they not play the previous
But
year?
we're not
I get to watch the
But
whole
now
season. I want you
okay,
World
to tell the
Cup.
truth, about Messi club level, he was flop. Yeah, but what I'm saying is Messi good club level, but guys are Mara guys is like as fun manu when the club is against you guys go qala, let's not forget Messi took a World Cup from France. They were hating him before. When he came back, it became even worse. And another thing, Mr. Oti,
Mina Kulma straight. I
is
get
more
to
like a star
tell.
player.
I get to tell, if you take Haaland out and put Cristiano there, he'll do the business. So now I'm asking you, go PSG.
Yeah.
If you take Messi out and you put Cristiano there, what happens? I get to, I mean,
But they are
I
struggling as we speak, Mos.
But am I winning league?
Okay. Okay, yeah, I get you.
Mbappe teammate scored a hat trick final. He's got 3 goals. He's got, I think, 4 other goals in the thing. Shouldn't then he be closer to Messi over Haaland?
Okay, let me be honest with you, be blunt honest. I would say his club level, he didn't deserve it, according to club level. In all, competition, Champions League, even League One, Cup corner, he didn't deserve it on that one. But why am I saying, based on the World Cup, it actually World Cup, Ipala, all those other leagues and all of that. It's because, guys, we're talking about a 36-year-old. Don't forget that a 36-year-old who has broken a record in the World Cup for most assists, most man of the match ever. You can't tell me you could see World Cup now so compare number Champions League, because the minute you do that, you are actually downgrading the status of World Cup. So for me, World Cup should
But
have
then
been
the World Cup
biggest
is 8
prize
games.
money, guys.
Isn't the World Cup 8
But the
games?
thing
Now,
is-
Haaland had to play
But-
over 50 games and be the best in 3
Well-
different tournaments. Oh,
Where
2
was he in the
different
final of the
tournaments.
Champions League?
He is the top
Where
goal
was he
scorer
in
of the
final
Champions League.
Champions League?
Where was Messi in the first
Where
game
was
of the
he in
World Cup?
final?
Where was Messi in the first game of the World Cup?
He's got a penalty. He's got a penalty.
Mbappe hit 3 goals in the final. Hat-trick in the final. First time is 24. Won it last time.
Okay.
Why was Kulumiles?
He didn't win it. He didn't win it. That's the point. He didn't win it. Messi won it. And another thing, Mr. Otsine, and a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, Messi scored a lot of penalties. That's not the issue, guys. The issue is, without Messi, does Argentina win the World Cup?
But
The
why
answer
does
is
the
no.
World Cup matter now?
Without
It didn't
Messi, they
matter
won't win the World
2010. It didn't matter
But without
2014,
Haaland-
2018. It didn't matter World Cup. Why does it matter now?
Mr. Otsi, can you please come back to me?
Okay, I'll come back.
Please.
Okay, no, Java Juice, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Shapo Grand.
No,
Hola, hola, hola. Bona, bro.
Did it deserve it? Did it deserve it?
Yeah, yeah, like Haaland deserve Ballon d'Or, ne? If Messi na sitting go competition in, Haaland no deserve. So they were supposed to make 2 Ballon d'Or. Yeah, obviously Messi va be goal straight in, and then Mbappe ba compete goal straight in, because let me tell you something. If Messi would half of the season, bona badlala full of the season. Okay, check Messi performance ya Messi ifita those people badletse the whole season. I understand. So if you check Messi, bam check ka the man of the match tsa Messi, the assist tsa Messi. I understand. Because some people to check how the goals tsa Haaland fail. I understand. And what did Haaland achieve to his national team? Nothing. I understand. And then, yes, as a Kevin De Bruyne, since that was the injury, he's struggling. Haaland. I understand. So, this guy, Bafete Kimudimo Apollo, Bafete Lele Kareng, Kaliuta, defense is the penalty. I, Bafete Relaxan, Bafete Mudimo Apollo Fitili.
Mara tshwantse o ine ka taba ya go ba modimo wa bolo ka gobane 1 year World Cup counts, the next year high count. 1 year tshwantse o win the Champions League le di what, but the next year it doesn't matter. Is that the problem ka what ena hore ha gona a proper criteria?
A proper criteria ke ba saying no. They've been using it all along, because if you can check, like I know most of you guys like compare in 2010. Yeah, who's this guy? Barcelona. Who's this guy?
Xavi, Iniesta, Schneider. Those were the top 3. Well, they were meant to be the top 3.
I understand. Yes. So like. Okay, the way Messi achieving this time around, that's one. Messi winning man of the match thing that like when a man of the match, it means when a player of the day. I get.
Mara World Cup 8 matches. When saying for PSG like I.
PSG. Who not the winner man of the match for PSG?
Mara he ain't saying PSG because Barry, as part of the criteria, Barry. Individual performance previous season, and then number 2, team success, and then number 3, player behavior plus fair play.
PSG ayawina league konje last season.
Win the league, Haaland win the treble. Mbappe won the same trophies, lost out on the World Cup final. So then, should Mbappe be much closer to Messi? Should Erling Haaland be more than Messi?
Yeah, mamela ke. Win league with PSG, and then win World Cup. Cup e kgolo mo lefatsheng. That's it. I understand. So, yes, win a triple. I win something for his national team. Score.
For
But for
Norway.
now, yeah, like,
For Norway.
yes.
I can unbear. Okay, no, it's fine, it's fine. Now I'm just asking people questions. Let me go to Dela. Dela, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hola, Oching, Bengalene panel.
Tell me, Messi, did he deserve this Ballon d'Or?
You know, Ballon d'Or now, it's all about the popularity and who's most famous. And Messi, when it comes to popularity, is more popular than Haaland. Haaland can win everything, but the only thing that is letting Haaland down is, in a way, because winning a Ballon d'Or, they have to also count the national team performance. So national team Haaland is scoring, but the goals don't mean nothing because in a way they don't even qualify for my Euros, they don't even qualify for the World Cup. So it's one of those things that they think Messi it's unfair which I win. But Messi winning the World Cup, it was completing the story. Because the only time that Messi, where I feel like Ballon d'Or Messi robbed it, is the time that he won, and that time Liverpool won the Champions League, and Van Dijk was number 2. That's the only time where I feel like Messi Ballon d'Or didn't deserve it at all.
2010.
But there this time, because of the World Cup, yes. 2010 Messi was the best player ku Barcelona, and Iniesta was not a best player kakhulu ukudlula Messi ku Barcelona. Yes, Iniesta was the best player na ku Barcelona, but Messi has more goals and more assists during that season yang 2010. So it was easy for Messi.
What about Schneider?
And even 2014, I feel like La Liga has the most influence when it comes to Ballon d'Or, because of all of the Ballon d'Ors in the past 20 years. They were won La Liga, or like they were exchanging between Messi, no Ronaldo, and also Modric. So the Ballon d'Or going to another country is anything against it. Even if you play like Konashisa, could remember Frank Ribery. He was in Ubese for me during 2014 World Cup. No, not World Cup. Champions League, I think 2013. Ubese for me no Ribery, and people were saying Ribery was a winner. But because
the reason why I'm bringing up Schneider is because I believe Schneider won the treble that year with Inter, and then was joint top goal scorer at the World Cup, took Netherlands to the finals. So he wasn't even top 3. People are using the World Cup. Messi didn't have a good World Cup 2010, but now it doesn't count that year. But then, because he won the World Cup, it counts more than the Champions League. Is that a problem, Delauti? The criteria, man, it's up and down.
That's why I say Ballon d'Or is no longer the same. Remember, Modric won the Ballon d'Or, but Ubegu Wapuma number 2 World Cup, and Ronaldo at that time, 2018, Ronaldo was on fire with Champions League. I remember scoring a hat-trick against Juventus, and we all said Ronaldo is going to win the Ballon d'Or. So the Ballon d'Or, the time they let Modric win the Ballon d'Or. So that's when the Ballon d'Or lost its value. So now I'm a winners after that year, after 2018, are just winners. It's always been missed. The last time Ronaldo won the Ballon d'Or, it was 2017, and Ronaldo nearly won the World Cup 2019, but because of the move Juventus, Real Madrid felt like, okay, Ronaldo played us, and then I'm keeper, and then I need to uhambile ku Real Madrid, and then he went to Juventus. So as moshelu Ronaldo, because of winning the Ballon d'Or, he account and I think it discipline account isn't as account. So Messi winning the Ballon d'Or, people. The people that are voting is club captains and national team coach. So imagine South America, all of those teams about Boca Junior, about River Plate, they are gonna vote for Messi vele because of South America. So influence lapho. And people that are saying Ronaldo now deserve to be there, who Ballon d'Or maybe top 30, he was never gonna be there because of Ballon d'Or, you are only recognized when you are playing a Europe. Once you phuma ngaphandle a Europe, you are no longer recognized. So the reason why Messi won the Ballon d'Or, I know ukuthi Messi udlala MLS, is because of Ballon d'Or ranking nama voting started ended after a transfer window where Messi vele already made the move to MLS. If Messi made the move to MLS before World Cup, then Messi now was never gonna be considered till Ballon d'Or voting because of he's a non-European player. But because of he made MLS transfer move after a transfer window, it makes sense which I win because of you see the last season with PSG and this season MLS is not the same as AHLY pre-season now. So Messi signed vele ama European club as a pre-season. So it makes sense which I win. So as for AHLY was gonna win it, but I feel like national team is letting him down. If only he could try and make it count with national team and make them qualify, that's when it's gonna have a chance. Okay, I was winning Ballon d'Or. Same as Frank Ribard. The reason why Frank Ribard didn't win a Ballon d'Or that year because of France was not doing well World Cup. I think it was 2014. That's the reason now didn't win a Ballon d'Or. That's the same reason as Abu Salah. Salah didn't make it to the World Cup. I think it was, I don't remember. So it's one of those reasons. And for Umane, yes, we can say with Abu Mane, that was the biggest robbery. But this time Messi really deserved it over Halat because of he won the World Cup and the team Halat is nowhere to be seen in World Cup rankings. They are just there outside top 50. Like it's one of those things. There's people can say Halat deserve it because of he's the top goal scorer. But one thing about Ibala is assist. Abo Messi no Ronaldo, they won the Ballon d'Or. They made some goals with assist. But Halat is just a goal scorer and Japan, guys. So but it's one of those things.
I just wanted to jump in. Now the voting is only journalists, top 100 journalists. So the captains and coaches vote. I get it now. FIFA has their own version. If FIFA best. Yeah. So they vote there, and then Lena is the top 100 journalists. I think, guys, for me, I'm just asking the question because I feel as though awards like this are unfair because you don't have the full criteria. So every year you can make a story for someone. And I feel as though sometimes what it robs is those guys that don't have a story, that aren't sexy, that just do a job. You know, they sometimes get looked over because there's no story behind it. I want to go back to Kumo. Kumo, do we think that this format of Ballon d'Or still makes sense? Because as Udlela said, Spain had been dominating for a while. This was a French-led award over a while ago. In as much as we say that any player in the world can win it, if I score 100 goals, you know, go PSL and I win the CAF Champions League and I win the Club World Cup and maybe my country gets to the finals. I'm going to ask you two questions. Is it fair for everybody and will it be fair as it is? And what would you have to do outside of Europe to win this award?
It's not fair. This whole thing is not fair, man. If you want to win the Ballon d'Or outside of Europe, you have to win the FIFA Club World Cup. You have to win the World Cup. Basically, you have to beat any European club at the ultimate stage. That's how you're going to get recognized. Like, it's the same thing. It's similar to Pete or not coaching Europe, okay? But we're not going there. No? Now, I think the Ballon d'Or should be based on the impact that you had on your team as a player. Like, for instance, before Haaland arrived to Manchester United, they've been losing this Maluko Champions League. He got them the Champions League, he got them records for scoring, and they won a treble. The first time in their history. I understand the World Cup maybe is the biggest prize, but the impact that I really compared to what Messi has done in his team, aside from scoring scoring those types and penalties. That guy had a bigger impact, And the other thing, if we're gonna go, the winner should be based on goals, which means horrible goalkeeper that will never win, defenders
Yes.
will never win, level midfielder could never win. So honestly, like even if you have to say Kumo, you choose the Ballon d'Or winner, it's gonna be impossible for me to choose because of I'm gonna go for I get the most obvious impact you see in a player getting goals. And also you're gonna let's go for playmaking. And Lorna playmaking, Lorna Habe, it's very questionable. So you're gonna choose whoever you like. So this whole concept there, Ballon d'Or, it's not sharp. And I wanna if we're also being fair, Habe, the Al Ahly players they should also get a shout out. Make this thing in the top 50 or top 30 because they've been winning the care for how long? Whatever. So what pisita was Shiva, what tempers and everything. Peter Shalulil no thing, Mara Ankeva cry a notification, top 50, top 100 and yanda, something to move just to prove football is a global competition. I wonder as long as things are done in Europe, especially ka bolo, rena other continents are very serious, especially Africa. So yeah, that's my
Okay.
2 cents on this one.
Theo, is this award fair? Both in terms of the criteria of the voting, but also in terms of, let's be honest, somebody from Europe will not win this thing, or doesn't play in Europe will not win this thing. How do you win it if you're outside of Europe?
I think for the first time today, I have to maybe 99.9% agree with Kumo. What he just said is on point, man. You know, it's so said that.
I know what you don't agree with.
Kune-
I know which ones. Yes. He's overcome my too. Yeah.
Yeah, Ukune, if you remember when he won the player of the season, man, they were good players, but you know, they looked at his performance, you know, they looked at everything regarding just goals, creativity, you know, and you take that, you put it into the bigger scale, which is Ballon d'Or, which is supposedly the biggest, you know, like award given to an individual in the entire football fraternity. You expect it to be given to someone whom we can say for every time when they come into the field, they don't just dominate, but they show that intensity, that desire, that heart. So that's why you find that goalkeepers are overlooked. Like Martinez, you watch what he did in the World Cup. We didn't even consider him for even top 5, to be honest. I didn't. But you check Argentina, without him, it was a disaster because no one could have saved those goals, penalties like he did. But he was not even considered for a top 5. So what Kumo is saying, it's like their standard of selecting players is actually disabled in simple terms. And also for the fact that it only like accommodates our European players, it shows they are trying by all means to bring each and every competition outside of Europe to disrepute. It's like every competition that you guys can have, no matter how interesting it may be, it might be in Saudi Arabia, it might be in MLS, as long as it's not within Europe, we're gonna count it as useless and we're not gonna even take it serious. So that alone, I think it becomes a useless argument to say it accommodates each and every best player, because you can't tell me that best players are in Europe alone. So they are trying to push that agenda as well to make us think that Europe is still dominant, Europe is still what. But you check, for an example, in the past 20 years, in England, you know, there's I think it was only Ronaldo, but it was a long time ago when he won the Ballon d'Or. No one has won it even in England. Yet England, the English Premier League is supposedly the best league in the world. So it shows those kind of challenges, I guess.
And how much of this is just marketing? I always ask this question about these things. How much of it is just marketing? Because for me, I think it becomes a battle of stories. And this year, Messi's story won. And Messi's story has won over the past few years because it's a stronger story. You know, like there's been years where the World Cup winners weren't even looked at. But then you go, now this year it's that. There's been years where people have done very little. There's Jude Bellingham is, I think, number 15 or something. He had 12 goals, 13 assists for Dortmund. You don't count Real Madrid because they only count last season. But he's ranked amongst some higher than other players. You know, is that an issue, man? Guti, Nati, we just don't want to agree. Guti, lento indaba yamatori, bayitori.
But like also, I know with Mangisho Sona, it's like I'm letting my guard down so that Kumo can pounce. I totally agree with you. It's not just about the stories, also about media, guys. We must not forget to see, the dominating the like media outlets. For an example, you go to Twitter right now, you just write Messi Ballon d'Or. Oh wow, you'll see pages, you'll see people, comments. But you just write Haaland, Ballon d'Or, no one's going to even comment, maybe a few people. So I think it's also a matter of whereby like the impact that the player has given in the past few years, besides just this in the past season. I think also that has to come into in like accountability. Kwabona, they've not been fair in many ways. You go back, you look at Lea Lewandowski. For me, that one Lewandowski, that's the one that I think was like, serious robbery. Lea Van Dijk, I kind of understood it, but Lea Lewandowski was the worst because, that guy dominated everything there. But for that not to happen for him, but you look at it now, you understand what you're saying. Good Vele, it's about storytelling, it's about accomplishing a big picture, and also, what else to do besides say Messi is the GOAT by giving him the 8th Ballon d'Or? Because no one is going to do that. No one.
Okay. Dela, I want to come to you. Is this award fair?
OT, Ballon d'Or is not fair because of now it's about can you hear me?
No, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Now, Ballon d'Or is about influence more than our performances. So now I think this is gonna be the final year where Ballon d'Or is gonna be in like the way in because of obviously Messi next year is not gonna be there Ballon d'Or because of now he's playing outside Europe. No, it's not gonna happen. Because of if Pelwe Shincha, that's where Sizobona Kon, it's okay, Ballon d'Or, but abantu ngento understand. There's no player outside Europe. Okay, there's no player outside Spain or La Liga is gonna win the Ballon d'Or if there's a player that is in form lapano Spain. If there's a player there who Spain that is like Abo Bellingham or Vinicius, maybe Bellingham is good. Maybe he wins La Liga, Copa, and then I win in the Champions League. And then at the same time, you have maybe Haaland winning the Premier League and maybe winning a treble again, but except the Champions League. But the Ballon d'Or is going to go to a player, that's La Liga. So abantu abaningi understand it's about influence. So La Liga has the most influence ku Ballon d'Or. Ask yourself, in the past 20 years, why am I Ballon d'Ors wonke aya La Liga? Even though there's players outside La Liga that were shining. Remember, 2020, Chelsea won Champions League. And then the Ballon d'Or was suddenly cancelled. Tell me why the Ballon d'Or was cancelled. 2020 there was no Ballon d'Or. I want to check. The time Chelsea won the Champions League under Thomas Tuchel, the Ballon d'Or was cancelled. Why? Messi was not in form. Ronaldo, they were playing the Pagu Juventus. So there was no winner from Spain. So Spain it's okay. Now my players are okay for me, and if it's Fagabo Messi, so they decided to cancel the Ballon d'Or. So it's one of those reasons. The Ballon d'Or is being controlled at Spain. So that's why Mbappe, if he's to win the Ballon d'Or, he needs to go to Real Madrid. Mbappe will win the Ballon d'Or. If now he has a chance of winning the Ballon d'Or, he needs to go to La Liga. But for now, I'm a players as Oshisa go Premier League, Salah was on form go Premier League. But bazophelela lapho. They are not gonna be bazophela ku number 3, 4, and thina my fans will be like, Salah was close, Umane was close. But they won't even win the Ballon d'Or. They won't even win. Yeah, Nyamu's M-Flow, it was cancelled by because of COVID. My man, Champions League was there. Champions League played. Champions League was not cancelled. The Premier League was not cancelled, man. Do the math. The Ballon d'Or is ruled by La Liga. La Liga yiyo ephethe iBallon d'Or bafethu singakhuluma sithini, but iBallon d'Or is being controlled lapha eLa Liga. It's being controlled by abo Perez and all those guys. So iBallon d'Or for ama players amanye azogcina ngokushisa. uRibery ushisile kuBayern Munich, uLewandowski washisa, but iBallon d'Or they are nowhere close. The only thing that they are closer to iBallon d'Or is UEFA player of the year, those kind of awards. Yibo abazoba close to one. We know Haaland. But in
Okay.
terms of Ballon d'Or, no.
Do you know what's crazy? That's why Itimina. And I know whenever we have these conversations, people will make it about one person. I'm not even talking about Messi. My thing is, when you look at this award, guys, let's be honest, none of you rated the French league the past few years. Nobody rated it. Now, Messi's there, all of a sudden, it's rated. You know, people didn't rate certain other things. The World Cup, 2014, whenever Ronaldo were winning it and France was winning the stuff and not winning. 2010, when Abo Snyder were winning trebles and going far in the World Cup. Spain won the World Cup. Two of Messi's teammates had also won a treble. So surely if that was the case, those guys should have won. There's been years where the goalposts get to be moved. And that's why I'm saying that for me, you look at it and you go, it doesn't feel like it's a fair award, especially because for me, the one thing that makes it not fair at the end of the day is that it's voted for. Guys, pre this thing, if you could see some of the ballots that these captains put in when it was still captains and journalists, when it was still one award, FIFA Best, and this one was one award. The captains used to write in, I think it was, the captain was it Turkey? All of these guys used to put in one vote for their own compatriot. Doesn't matter ukuthi udlale Europe uyenzani. One vote for a compatriot, someone from your country. 2 votes would go to then Messi or Ronaldo. And then you go, but guys, does Themba Zwane really need to be there? Does whoever, you know? And that's what for me makes it unfair. It's subjective, you know? So even this thing, look at one of the criteria points, player behavior and fair play. What does player behavior mean? You know, what does it mean in the context of the game? Yeah, I understand the fair play, maybe not yellow cards and red cards, but what does player behavior mean? When they say team success, how do you manage team success next to each other? So maybe Messi propelled Argentina to win the league or whatever, but Bukayo Saka propels Arsenal to second place. What's more important? Who's more important? And I'm not saying who is. I'm asking these questions so that when we speak about this, we can speak about this out loud. It also feels like this is the Scorers Award. Scorers, assisters. What about goalkeepers? What about midfielders? I mean, the last time a defender won it was Cannavaro, if I'm not mistaken. And he only won it because Zidane headbutted somebody in the final of the World Cup, else he would have won it. So how do you make these awards more fair? For the interest of time, guys, I'm going to bring in some other people to come in as well so that we can discuss this further. And guys, as with most of the conversations that we have here, it's not just about Messi, it's not just about Ronaldo, it's not about Haaland, it's about when you look at it as a whole, does it make sense? Even just when you look at the world, for example. So let me just get some people in and then we can go from there. Flo, how are you?
Yo.
We network it in network. Hey, Flo, okay, it's fine. Try come back. Malama Kutsa, how are you?
I'm well, and how are you, Mr. OT?
I'm good. How do you feel about this topic? We had the chat, but yeah.
I'm listening to Amachita, the panels, and it's taking me back to class, science class. They say there's a causal relationship and then there's a correlational relationship.
Okay.
Causal relationship, 1 + 1 is equal to 2. Like when the sun is hot, people eat ice cream. Correlational relationship is that when the grass is green, people eat ice cream. Not necessarily, it's not necessarily because the grass is green. It's because there's the sun, and therefore the grass becomes green, and then you well ice cream more than you would in it. Ungela spoke about La Liga. No, guys, Ronaldo and Messi were unplayable, and it so happened that they were in La Liga. And another thing is that Real Madrid and Barcelona are every dream any child who plays football will only dream of 4 teams: Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man United, and Liverpool. The others is if we support, but the biggest teams in the world are Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, and Man United in no particular order. So the Ballon d'Or is bound to come from those teams.
But is that fair?
No, you see, I think you missed me. I'm saying the best players are bound to play for Real Madrid because most soccer players love Real Madrid. And therefore, if you are the best by default, you will then win the Ballon d'Or. For example, Ricardo Kaká won the Ballon d'Or while he was at AC Milan, right? However, because he's one of the best and given the background of football that I've just mentioned,
and Brazil was hot.
Exactly. He then moves to Real Madrid. On paper, it looks like a Real Madrid won a Ballon d'Or. And no, it's a AC Milan player who then followed steps like Soktanda Real Madrid. You understand? Then it looks a bit foggy. You might think Real Madrid players are given a preference. No, it's the best players who choose to go and play for Real Madrid. You can even ask even Dstv if when they ask him, what's the one thing you wish you could have considered? He says, playing for Real Madrid. Wayne Rooney, Francesco Totti. I'm talking about the most loyal guys.
But then should it count? So if I have an extremely great season for Arsenal.
My point is it doesn't count. It's by default that the player who's on the podium plays for Real Madrid. It's not because you play for Real Madrid. That's why there's a causal relationship and there's a correlational relationship. Just because the grass is green, it doesn't count. So the past 15 years cannot be attributed to La Liga, but to Messi and Ronaldo.
That's true.
They were miles ahead of everyone. So you can't take it away from Ronaldo by giving it to La Liga. You can't take it away from Messi by giving it to La Liga. We're talking about people who are banging in 90 goals per year. How are we, I don't think you can win it on goals, right? But there are numbers that are just astronomical, that just don't make sense. And those numbers are also accompanied by performance. We're not talking about a Ronaldo here who was scoring against the Deportivo only. We talk about a Ronaldo who was mooring, fly kicking, scissors kicks in the finals. We talk about a Ronaldo who was striking balls from 40 yards out. We're not necessarily just talking about any player here. We talk about a Messi who would wrap around an entire Bayern defense, put who's that guy who used to defend for Germany, Kevin Prince Boateng, on his stomach and lob a Manuel Neuer. And we couldn't even think about who's next in terms of number 3. Even till today, if you watched Ronaldo and Messi, you will know there was on another level. And I think their levels will still be reached because there's this thing called Isinamu Valiabu. When you do something, you actually create a template for
Somebody else.
Which is why we see Mbappe and Haaland finding it easy to score many goals because they got the cheat code from Cristiano Ronaldo that position yourself in this way, build yourself in this way, physically concentrate on these attributes, and then you'll be able to hit 50 goals per season. But when Ronaldo and Messi started doing it, there was no template of doing that. It was unheard of. You understand? So I'm like, guys, we really can't take it away from both of them. Now, I know I'm going on for a long time now. I just want, let's take Osimhen. Let's give Osimhen the French League One trophy. Let's give Osimhen the World Cup. Would you dare say he doesn't deserve a Ballon d'Or with those records?
You wouldn't.
So now, you see now.
No, wait. With me, are you asking me personally or are you asking other people?
No, in general.
In general, I think storyline plays into it because it only became a big deal when Messi was going there. But previously to that, Abo Ibrahimovic were hitting similar numbers. Abo Mbappe were hitting similar numbers, even going into the World Cup from last time. There have been players that have done bits, but we never... I think my argument has always been, nobody rated the French league. Else, Mbappe would have taken it, But now, because...
The OT is clear.
Yeah. No. I'm saying the narrative for me is the problem because the criteria is not steadfast, if that makes sense.
Here's what I'm saying. In this case, the criteria is clear. No, I mean, no one is, the rationale rather, no one is really referencing the French league. They're referencing the French league as an add-on.
But isn't that a
They're
problem?
referencing the
Because
French league
if
as
I
an add-on
so then
to
does
the
the
World Cup.
does the argument become an issue when you say here's a player that won a treble? So when Messi won a treble 2010 with Barcelona and didn't do well in the World Cup, nobody referenced it as an add-on, and nobody added it as an add-on for Xavi and Iniesta, for example, right? Now you have Haaland who's won a treble, and fine, his country will never do well in the world, but now he's won a treble, and the argument is that no, Messi has won a World Cup, even though it's a French league we don't rate. So when you say I've won the French league, nobody jumps. But now when you say I've won the French league and I've got a World Cup, that's better than you winning a treble with your club. Can we make that correlation?
Here's where I have qualms with people. We all know the real criteria. We all know that all of these things are add-ons, including trebles. You know why, Kero, we all know. Why are people not saying, yo, Alvarez has a treble and a World Cup? How is he the one? How is he not the one in front instead of Haaland or instead of KDB? It's because we know the first test is you as an individual. Above anything, above 6 cups per season. It's because we all know before we look at what you won, we need to look at you as a player. And then we weigh your contribution to the team. One understand. And if it was based on team accolades, obviously it's a walk in the park for Alvarez. But everyone knows Alvarez was an auxiliary player at Man City, so no one would dare present that. You understand? And I'm sure there's someone else, your KDB, but we then look at stats against this guy, Haaland, and we're like, your argument is not going to be as strong, even though I believe on an eye test basis, KDB is too much. You understand? But then you take it and you look at the World Cup.
Excuse me.
I came up with a thought that said, come on, guys, we really cannot allow for a Champions League to suddenly be placed above the World Cup.
It's not suddenly. But it's not suddenly.
It is. I'll tell you why. We cannot allow the Champions League to suddenly be placed above the World Cup. We cannot allow, now I'm going to sound political, for a European agenda ahead of the world. There is no way that we should allow, we say, no, don't mind everything that involves us. Go to Europe and then we'll consider you the best.
It's been that way, though. Let's be honest. It is that way.
Not in the World Cup year. We can take it back. I know people are like, no, 2018. I had this when I said, agent, I agree with you. Finally, someone with a much more vivid memory. In 2018, when Mbappe won the World Cup, he was an upcoming kid. He was a rookie. Everyone was praising him because he was a rookie. The main man sliding the Qatar there for Croatia actually got the Ballon d'Or, and that was Luka Modric.
Well, he got FIFA best. Didn't he get FIFA? Oh, anyway, no, go on.
We can even take it to Abu Cannavaro. Yes, you might have a different reason to say it's because of Zidane. And I think if Zidane had not headbutted, France would have won the World Cup. That's how important he was. But then it was given to Cannavaro as a World Cup winner. The only discrepancy comes in when there's Spain. Now, who's the main man for Spain? And I hope this is going to land properly. The only player who can stand out playing in the Spanish team is Lionel Messi. That was Barcelona at the time.
But then he had a bad World Cup.
Everyone else at Barcelona was a team player. You look at Xavi, team player. You look at Iniesta, team. They will make you shine, but they can't necessarily make themselves shine as much. So it's like at Barcelona, they will shine because Messi will bang in Boma 90 goals.
But then they shined at the World Cup without Messi. So now are we saying... But that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, This is a point raised by you actually in the group. Take that very same creativity by Xavi and Messi, put it in the national team. No one in the world can score more than 10 goals. They score 5 goals to win the World Cup.
But they won the World Cup. They had won the European Championship. They had done bits without Messi. So to your argument, if Messi has a treble in his bag, so as Iniesta and Xavi, then they go to a World Cup and they do something without Messi. How then can Messi then be more? Because then you're saying that the European agenda you're trying to avoid has now been proven. Because I don't have to do well in a World Cup. Whereas these guys have done well, World Cup, done World Club, just by that. Then we start doing things like eye test. We start doing things like that inherently fall towards Abo Messi because they've done things well. So now, you get me? If Xavi and Iniesta did nothing else, if they did nothing else, and it was just treble on treble versus treble. No, it wasn't treble that year, actually. They only won the league. Schneider won the treble. So Messi won the Spanish league. That's his contribution. Fine, he could have scored as many goals as he wanted. But now, here are guys that were with him during the league win. They go on to win the World Cup, right? So now we are inherently saying that my performances in La Liga are then better than your performances in 2 tournaments, are better than your performances in 3 tournaments in the case of Schneider.
Not even. And I say this as a proud Pirates fan. There's a season where Teko Modise was belting everyone. It was inconceivable that we'd see anyone else as the best player. Coach Gavin tried saying, but what did he win? Pirates had won nothing. But from the eye taste, or in terms of influence, what he was doing, you could see Witty, the general, no one stands next to him. Right?
That's unfair. Because Tiko also has PR behind him. It's because of Tiko Mdise. That's why sometimes with the player of the season, we complain so much because it's like, I could be a very good player for Golden Arrows. But because I play for Golden Arrows, I might not win that thing. Same as Messi. I have done everything else, Malume Kutso. Just because I'm not sexy.
No, Mr. Oti, let's not mislead the people. He got the PR because of how good he was.
From Pirates, from Supersport, from national team before joining Sundown. From City Pillars, yes. He wasn't winning it at City Pillars. He wasn't winning it at Supersport.
Actually, he was player of the season in the NFD at City Pillars.
Okay, Supersport. Pirates.
At Supersport, I don't know who had won it that year. So if I comment, I'm going to be reckless. I don't know who had won it before he actually won it. But what I'm saying is, this has been my argument from the start. Let's consider the player first.
I'm not for that. I look at it differently.
At this point, Alvarez, who is literally a bench warmer, is the best player in the world.
No, he's not.
No, but the accolades are there. He's got a treble and a World Cup. Show me someone who has something better.
That's not the point I'm making, Maluma, because that's why I say, for me, start with the stats, start with the performances, then go to the player. So, for example, Haaland is not just the guy who top goal scored for Man City. He broke the record in England. He's the top goal scorer in Europe, I guess. He's the top goal scorer. He's top goal scorer in Europe. He won UEFA Player of the Year, did all of that stuff. Messi did very well, I guess, at PSG, and then won a World Cup, right? So then, for me, there's headline players, right, that have done very well for those teams. And then there's the players that look sexier. So I think part of the reason why Messi wins is because everybody says, Messi plays football like this. Well, the reason why Cristiano used to win, besides their performances, was also that thing of, we've now got a rivalry between Messi and Ronaldo. There's a storyline there, right? Because every year the goalposts change. That's my thing. Because if I start looking at players only, there's a player that you've never heard of that will have a very good season and nobody will see because we don't know them. Now, I know Messi, we've called him a magician, we've called him beautiful, we've called him all this stuff. He's already top of mind the beginning of the year, before everything starts. So I'd much rather say, my guy, if Messi did very well to do the World Cup. Messi did very well at PSG. He's got a league at PSG. He's got a World Cup. Great. Haaland might not be able to win at the World Cup because of his country historically, but then also, fine, he's at Manchester City. He's done three trophies. Whether we speak about it this way or that way, he's had to play more games and perform in more situations, right? You look at 2010, for example, same situation. Xavi and Iniesta, you could say, if it came down to them just winning the league and it was them versus Messi, great. Messi takes it all day. But then they went and did something else on top of it. Not to mention Abo Schneider, who had to perform who won 3 trophies, who was statistically the best in Europe, then also became a top goal scorer for midfield in the World Cup, getting to a final. You get what I mean? But then now that's the storyline is no longer, but you have to do well in the World Cup. Now it's changed. So for me, I'm not even saying that I'm against Messi. I'm not even against Messi. I'm saying that you need to have clearer criteria so that it's fairer, so that when the subjective person who's voting, that's the other part of it, right? Some of the captains were just writing Messi. That's the other part. We treat this competition, this voting thing, as if it's down to stats and things like that. It really came down to, guys, there's 100 journalists from 100 top nations. They call it top nations, right? Those guys will not look at the PSL, will not look at CAF, will not look at CONCACAF and all of that stuff, right? They come down and they vote. So we could say everything that we want to say, but at the end of the day, those 100 guys come in and they can write whatever they want on that thing. They could base it on whatever they want to base it. And that's where the subjectivity for me takes away from the award. Because I could have an incredible season, the best single season in African history, and I'll probably not be looked at because Abo Mo Salah were not looked at when they won UEFA and things like that. You get what I mean?
But Mo Salah was looked at. Nah, Mo Salah was, he just didn't win.
No, but he's not going to win. Eto'o, remember when Eto'o was number 2 and he had top goal scored for Barcelona in all competitions? He was the driving force. He scored 2 in the finals. There was no World Cup that year. He wasn't picked. Was that because of performance? Was that because of what? You get what I mean?
No, I get what you mean, Mr. OT. But in closing, for me, tell me, just in closing, tell me who was the most important player for Spain winning the World Cup? And then also tell me who's the right back, Japan. Tell me who's the right back to Argentina.
I don't know them.
And then at the World Cup for Spain, who was the most important player who you would have taken out and they probably wouldn't have won?
I'd say Iniesta because he scored in the semis, the goal that took them through. Villa had a good performance up to that point.
If you had taken out Iniesta out of that Spanish team, they wouldn't have won the World Cup, you feel?
It's an argument. I don't think so. But they've been the most important players for the past 3 years, even at the Euros.
The other argument is David Silva before he got injured. But then with this most recent one, I'm just going to depend on your most recent memory. And I understand, you know what, the 2010 thing is the 2018, I understand, which they're not close in terms of memory. Therefore, it's going to be tricky.
Okay.
If you take out Messi out of the Argentina team,
they don't win it. They don't win it.
It's that simple.
If you take Messi out of PSG, what does PSG do? Because that counts.
They probably lose it like they did the season before he arrived.
Do performances go down?
That one coming,
do performances go down? That's what I'm asking. Do performances go down? They lost the one previous year, then they won every other year before that. Does Mbappe score less goals?
Because I think he doesn't score less goals, even if Messi doesn't come. But I saw the goals Messi gave to him, 9-9. But
still, you see how this conversation we're having is the problem with this Ballon d'Or. If you take Haaland away from Man City, you could make the argument that they don't win the Champions League because they hadn't done it to that point. and to the fact that he broke the record. So does Man City look the same? And then these are the questions I'm asking you. And then is the league and a World Cup enough this year just because it's Messi? But then in previous years, we had looked at treble winners and all of that stuff. So these are all questions I could ask you. Did you rate the French league before Messi got there?
I'm sorry to Uzesho for taking so much time, but Messi, Haaland, he might have scored a lot of goals for Man City, but he did not improve the number of goals scored by Man City. Instead, Man City redirected the goals towards him. It takes a
But
special player
it was
to
the
score
first
that
time Man
and
City
find
won
the space.
something. It was the same argument. Remember the argument that we're having
And
about
if you
Messi,
look at,
that the Barcelona team used to work for Messi. I think it was it Pedri or even Villa complained that I am not allowed to score. When I get to the line, I need to give it to Messi. So we can't have those conversations in one way and say Haaland was redirected. Messi, you could have the argument about Messi also having things redirected to him when he was at Barcelona. No, but you see, I don't like hypotheticals for that reason.
Okay.
Haaland did what he did.
Let me make for Mr. OT. Let me make way for Kanakima. I'll get back to you.
Okay. No, it's cool. Zesho. Sorry about that. It got a bit heavy. Zesho, how do you feel about this award?
No, bafethu sakunjani uthi?
Hey, Tara.
Ngimamele like it was interesting nami ngikhohliwe ukuthi kumele ngingene ngizokhuluma something yabona mina lo ngimamele. No lapho. I mean, I'm not updated so much about that ngaleyo nto leyo ye-Ballon d'Or, but mina it's kind of confusing ukuthi like kuwinwa kanjani, abantu abanjani abamele bawine. Angali wena uthi uMessi nami I'm one of his biggest fans nabo abo Ronaldo nyabathanda individual players, I understand. What I don't understand, I remember bancinta uLewandowski that award whereby uMessi, I think he was on the sidelines. I think it was about 3 months angadlali, and then when he came back, I think it was PSG, if I'm not lying. Oh yeah, I think it was PSG where megangadlali, if I'm not mistaken. That when he came back and then he didn't do much. He didn't have many goals like he used to have. No many assists, but yet why win a Ballon d'Or and then azanga win a World Cup. Okay, so I think the next Ballon d'Or went to Karim Benzema, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm thinking Benzema deserved the Ballon d'Or, but how did he win a Ballon d'Or? Yeah, now Benzema. I don't understand. So layer manje, it's about the World Cup. Like the way going is corner, the way I winning a corner, antanga via the World Cup. So those years lawa money like mewanga win via the World Cup, understand? So like why manje it has to be about the World Cup, and then for me, both of them, and I know Haaland, I think it was fair because they won 3 trophies, but obvious Haaland azange athathe i World Cup, understand that. So I think mina he deserved it ukuthi ayiwine yona le ayithathe yona le Ballon d'Or. So le ndaba le Ballon d'Or for mina like it's like iskelem, and I want to find out ukuthi is it FIFA accolade or is it only European accolade?
They separated it last year. So FIFA now runs their own awards, and then Ballon d'Or has their own awards. But for the history of the Ballon d'Or, it was founded as a European-only award. So it was only going to be European players and then only European teams. Then it was 1995 where they opened it to non-Europeans, but then you still had to be playing for a European team. Then it was only 2007 where they opened it up completely for any player all across the world. But as it currently stands, it's only voted on by the top 100 nations, journalists from the top 100 nations. Previously, before that, it was all 180 FIFA nations. But then they made sure that in this top 100, one of the things they say is that they only want to include countries with established football culture and regular access and coverage of the major leagues. That's a caveat that they put into there. So on the face of it, it looks like it's an open thing, but it's only recently in its history that it's been open to everybody, and there's still certain people that can vote.
Oh, okay, yazwakala. That's why mengisho vele ngithi mina ngikho updated kakhulu ngale zinto zama-individual accolades ngoba ngifana nabo labo coach ngizithandela vele i-team mayiwina like i-cup yabona kube mnandi kube nabo man of the moment or man of the cup or man of the what. So my thing is I mentioned something in my message about the Puska Award. I remember Yatata which wrote instead of
Oscarin.
Oscarin. Nalapho like it's something similar for me now Ballon d'Or, like probaninyana phakathi, understand that. So hence I'm saying vele ukuthi like confused like now we winning votes and Giroud or Footy, is it a FIFA thing or is it a European
Oh, that one
accolade
was fan voting. That one was fan voting. It was fans that were allowed to vote from around the world for a specific time. But nalapo, Giroud is more popular or more known than an Oscarin, for example. So Puskas yona every year, hey, yaliwa lapho.
Hayi okay uthi hayi mina sengi-right manje amafaka amanye amajita.
Okay. Guys, all I'm saying is, and I don't want to be pro someone or anti someone. My whole point in this discussion we're having is, if every year it's not based on anything. So every year, this year you could be playing in the French league and win the World Cup and win. The next year you could win a treble in Spain and that counts more than a World Cup. The following year you could win, I don't know, a treble in England and nothing's going to happen. The following year, a Brazilian guy could score 250 goals in a season and still not win it, even though it's a global competition. One year you could be top goal scorer of one thing and not win. Like it becomes now about stories. And that's where it becomes unfair. Because for defenders, midfielders, goalkeepers, it doesn't matter. For non-Europeans, it doesn't matter what you do really, right? And then for certain players who've got name recognition, let's not lie. Most of the Messi Ronaldo wins where they were winning, yes, they were astronomical, they could have deserved and all of that stuff. But it came down to who's going to be better, Messi or Ronaldo. The story was fueled by that. You didn't even watch any other players. Then you look at the rest of the top 30. Some of them did very little in the years, but because they're names that you can see and know about, they get to win. Thank you, guys. You get to get in because your name, they squeeze you in, Kalibito. Others have very good seasons elsewhere. Maybe you're not in the conversation. You get what I mean? So now it becomes what you find to be more important than anything else. So if you value the World Cup, then you'll choose the World Cup winner over anything. If you value the Champions League, you'll choose the Champions League. If you value a league winner, you'll choose a league winner over all of that stuff, right? But then a lot of the time, the people who have incredible seasons might never see it. Because I'm fighting legacy people. And again, the last part for me, it's subjective, guys. Those journalists can write and choose whoever they want to choose. Whoever. But anyway, Abut Napoleon, welcome to the show. How are you? Abuti. Evan. Flo, is your connection down back? Olani, can you hear me?
Sure, uthi ngiyakuzwa first. How's it?
Yeah, banna. No, right. Ntshele, how do you feel about this topic?
Suyishilo first. Uyabona, since kuthiwa kunama-journalists hundreds, now they also have this debate about ipolento. Then there will be some cards abazwe consider more than the others. So makusakhona umuntu mfethu, it would always be debatable. So angeke nje ngize ngiyeke kakhulu because nami I also have my my stats engizokhuluma ngawo, omunye uzokhuluma ngawo, yabo, like ushilo ukuthi there's legacy, there's like a current performance. Because la kuthiwa 2023 Poland door, it's not like the previous seasons, yabo. So angeke ngize ngiyeke kakhulu. I'm hoping ukuthi uzoshintsha i-topic ukhulume nge-press conference ya RULANI.
Oh, hayi sizayitshintsha khona ungawari sizayitshintsha. I just wanted to give people some time, Shebi. Kumo and I took some time. I think for Thompson, how are you?
Yo, ngimnandi kodwa mani ngikrent.
Okay, tell how do you feel about this?
Yeah. So ngiyezwa bayakhuluma, so I think like abantu ne bayakhohlwa ukuthi iBallon d'Or into enjani. I would say, for example, a Ballon d'Or is about who is the best player, not just the best in terms of scoring. Who's the most shining player? I'll make an example. If we could say today there's a match, maybe Sibugeli match namhlanje. Maybe we're giving out the Ballon d'Or just because of this one match Sibuge. Ne? Yeah, I'm sure. We are gonna look at who's the best player. Maybe there could be a player who can score maybe 2 goals, and another player maybe ends a tackle, but there would be a player who's the best player. Which I told Ballon d'Or maranga koranga that game, but because he was the best player in that match, you get me. So Messi and Ronaldo were the best players. I'm a journalist are the people who are watching the game because they are dedicated in watching the game. They see the dribbles. They know what's happening in the game. So I wouldn't say we can fault amateur journalists because the journalists are actually watching the game. They are dedicated more than anybody. You get me?
So then, can I ask you, those journalists, part of this criteria, they say only countries with established culture and regular access to the coverage of major leagues. Are those journalists, if I'm not from a major league, does that mean that I don't count?
Well, what I can say in terms of that, right? let's talk about maybe 4 leagues, maybe. Maybe we can talk about Serie A,
La Liga,
France,
yeah.
Yes, and EPL. So I would say, Bona, obviously, there's already a stereotypic conversation of Tini. The best players are found here in this four leagues already. And at the same time, we can't blame them at the same time because I don't think there's any player from PSL who can win a golden boot from the PSL. Because they already know with PSL, nobody's scoring like 30 goals.
So then if I win the CAF Champions League, if I win the CONCACAF Champions League or whatever that side, if I win those things, do I not deserve a spot in the top 30?
I think you do, because if you check Sadio Mane, when Sadio Mane won the CAF, that counted as well, like input still in terms of his
ngisho Champions League. I win the CAF Champions League. Maybe let's say I'm the best player in Africa. I've won the CAF Champions League, and you look at a player like Bukayo Saka, who didn't win anything this year, but he's there. Are we rating Europe more than Africa, or the level?
Well, in that position, I would say it would be fair for that player to be rated. Honestly, that player should be rated because let's say. And depending on what he has done in terms of maybe assists, goals, that player should definitely be rated. He should be rated. But nobody has done that before.
But nobody's watching it.
For example, Abo Pesita, I think Pesita won the CAF, ne?
Since he's been at AHLY, I won it with Pizzo, I think. Or Sundowns was 2016.
He did win it, right? So if you look at Pesita, he didn't really have like more goals and more assists, even though they won it.
Mm.
You can, because in competition, younger or can't, like it's tough because people are scoring like 50 goals. Abo Messi, like
Mm.
they raised the bar like of football.
Ah,
Ukuthi
mina
score
ngithi
about 50 goals.
ngifuna ukuyimova from abo Messi because those ones are given. Ngisho mina
Yeah,
nababo Saka. Saka is one of my players. I love him deeply. Doesn't win a league.
yeah,
Doesn't win any trophies in England. Doesn't win any continental trophies.
yeah,
But is number 18 or something. I forgot where he is, but he's in this one. Then you have people from across the world that maybe do well in maybe their own tournaments, their own CAF Champions Leagues and things like that. So statistically, let's say I'm the best in Africa. I've got a CAF Champions League in my pocket. Why is it that Osaka's rated above me, even though he has nothing in his pocket? Why is it that about Jude Bellingham, 12 goals, 13 assists for Dortmund, came second in Germany, but he's a top 30 player? Isn't that inherently the problem with this thing? Guti Nakona, you can see that it's up to whoever.
yeah. I believe like yeah, I understand your question. I think yeah, it comes back to the journalists and the priorities of like the people who are organizing the ceremony. So Bona, they are not really interested like Guma player are elsewhere, especially Africa. Unless if it can change in the future. But Bona, they are mostly concerned about Europe in most cases. So I don't
Okay.
think like there would ever be such a thing unless if something changes.
That's why I bring up the conversation of the criteria. Ngoba it feels as though from the bottom, even to Messi, obviously you can make a lot of debates about Messi winning it for Messi and against Messi, and we do it every year. But shouldn't they have a criteria that just goes, you know what, guys, this is what we look for. Whether you're a defender, whether you're a midfielder, we're looking for these specific things. Shouldn't it be more tighter, Leo criteria, just to make it fair? So if Messi wins and he deserves it, and I don't think Messi doesn't deserve it. I don't want people to get in the way, but the fact that we can ask so many questions around this thing, isn't that an issue?
Yeah, I think like people are just confused. People are just confused because these days it's more like how many cups did that player win? How many assists did that player do? What so on? But if we check properly, I would like to talk about the 2010
Mm,
issue.
mm,
When Nkrumah Xavi and Iniesta and Messi winning it over them. If
mm,
we look at that season, right? Everything that Xavi and Iniesta won, Messi won,
mm,
besides the World Cup, of course.
mm,
Besides the
mm,
World Cup.
mm,
Then we're gonna check the performance. We're gonna check
mm,
the performance. Messi had more goals than like any. He had more goals than Xavi and Iniesta.
mm,
Even
mm,
had more assists than Xavi and Iniesta. And he went
mm,
and performed at the World Cup. And
mm,
he performed well, but he wasn't really the best player
mm,
at the
mm,
World Cup, though.
mm,
Then about Iniesta, I think Iniesta was like on maybe 6 assists lapo, and not
mm,
even six, maybe 5 assists lapo kuma World Cup. So
mm,
they did perform, but they were not really in that level. So if you
mm,
check now, 2023, right? 2023, Haaland, he obviously didn't get the opportunity to play at the World Cup, but he did like the most, right?
mm,
Then
mm,
Messi did the most as well at club level. But at the World Cup, he was able like to assist this team by scoring more goals,
mm,
assists. Young top. Abo Iniesta didn't score a lot of goals, didn't do a lot of things. And when they came back to the club, Messi ubabulele bonke. Uyayibona
mm.
leyo ndaba. So there was no way Xavi and Iniesta were gonna win the Ballon d'Or that year because Messi was dominating them almost everywhere. They just had
But
the World
then,
Cup.
but Angichi, people say the World Cup is the most important. And then secondly, there's a player who won a treble and then also got to a final of the World Cup and was joint top goal scorer. And he didn't even make it, top three, top four, top five, I think it was. So what's more important then?
You mean which player?
Schneider.
Who? Or you couldn't make it to
He
the
didn't
top
make
five?
it. He didn't make it top five.
But at the same time, it's like, let's say, for example, if a player only performs World Cup and
No,
is
he
not
won a
performing, for
treble.
example,
He
at
won a
club level,
treble that season. When Inter won the treble that season, he was the best
yeah,
midfielder in Europe.
but he couldn't make it to the top 5.
But he couldn't make it to the top 5.
Well, all I can say is that maybe they were best players than him. That's all I can say.
Okay. You see, that's why I'm not saying Guti Messi didn't deserve it. I'm just asking questions because every season it seems like there's some sort of controversy. Like I see people are talking about Alvarez right now. Let's talk about Mbappe. Mbappe was Messi's teammate. So Mbappe's won everything Messi won, and he got to a final. I think if they're not joint top goal scorer, he's top goal scorer of the World Cup. I'm not sure. Scored a hat-trick in the final. Why aren't people speaking about Mbappe the same way?
I would say maybe Mbappe, this season for Mbappe was not really, he didn't really perform the way Esimazi upon Mbappe this season, honestly. I think this season people were lacking. Most players this season were lacking. This season.
Mbappe has 51, King 51 goal goal involvements. Messi has 62 goal involvements for EPSG. Then they got to a final. Mbappe did his hat-trick thing. I think he top goal scorer in the World Cup. Why then are we not speaking about Mbappe? Because say if we take out Haaland and his treble, Mbappe has everything as Messi, and he even got to the final. Fine, Messi won, but he even scored a hat-trick in the final. Why then isn't Mbappe number 2?
I would say like Haaland, obvious. Haaland like did the most. Haaland did the most. I almost forgot
Mbappe
how good
uhamba no
Mbappe was.
Messi so. Everything Messi has, and they got to the final way too.
Yeah, that's a good point though. The only difference is that Messi won it. I would say that's the only difference. Messi won it.
Guys, I
How many
wanna
goals does
ukuthi
Mbappe
lento
have?
yenu.
How many goals and assists does Mbappe have at the World Cup compared to Messi?
I think he scored more goals. I think he was the top goal scorer of World Cup, and then I'm not sure about the assists. I don't know about the assists, but he was one of the top goal scorers, if I'm not mistaken.
Mbappe.
Mbappe, including a hat-trick in the final.
I would say the only difference is that Messi won it. Then.
Yeah, guys. Okay. Let me bring in the other guys. Sorry, you can make your last point.
Oh, I just wanted to talk about like to raise the point of Ribéry. Do you remember 2013 when Ribéry had to win the Ballon d'Or and Cristiano Ronaldo won it?
Yeah.
Because at that point, Ribéry had almost won every cup with his club. He had a good performance, but Ronaldo ended up winning the Ballon d'Or at that point
Yeah.
in time.
No,
I would say,
all of the yeah.
Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with it. That's why I'm saying,
this.
Guti, those Ballon d'Or as an award.
Okay, I get you. I think I've done my point. I think I've said enough.
Messi. That's why I'm Messi. I was just asking questions. Data 17, how are you? No, right, help me out. What do you think of this Ballon d'Or?
Le Ballon d'Or since ivotelwa ama-journalist ngicabanga ukuthi kuma-journalist wonke nje i-most yabo vele balandela Man-U, balandela Barcelona, abanye balandela Real Madrid. So umuntu odlalela i-Man City akukho simple ukuthi enga-challenge umuntu obuya kwi-Barcelona, and wesiphathi uMessi ukhulele khona kwi-Barcelona. Automatically ama-fans we-Barcelona la kaya khona ayamlandela vele. Ayamlandela including wona ama-journalist lawa. And into engibona ukuthi isha uMbappe ukuthi uMbappe ufuna i-Real Madrid. Akayi khona kwi-Real Madrid. Obviously abantu be-Real Madrid bazomzonda, angeke bembackup. Angeke bembackup. And abaleni be-PSG abekho baningi ngaleyo ndlela ngoba akakenzi izinto angisho ukuthi ayenzi izinto ezi-right kodwa nje ama-journalist nawo ama-fans ukufana nathi ama-fans ukufana nathi and uHaaland hayi ukuthi akenzanga kahle wenze kahle akahambe edlalele i-Real Madrid noma i-Barcelona uzozwe esinye isitori kwamanje angeke i-challenge angeke i-challenge angeke i-challenge ngoba mawuzothwabuka mawuzothwabuka uRonaldo 2008 uwinile angithi kade kuphi Man
United, yeah.
Manje ukuthi Man U is one of the biggest. So kuyacount ukuthi udlala kuphi, udlale kuphi, uke wenzani, udlalelani currently. So ngibona uthisha lapho vele. uMessi ngeke uzumkhathe nabo Haaland okwamanje until uHaaland ashintsha adlalele one of the biggest. Ikhona enga-challenge khona the way ngibuka ngakhona. Ngoba even nama-journalist ngineshow alandela ama-team kunabalandeli beBarcelona kunabalandeli beMan U abebebackupa uRonaldo abasuke naye from kwiMan U even esekuyi-Real Madrid bamlandela bembackupa until namanje noma esedlala kwiliga encane bambackupa. Mina ngibona kanjalo.
Okay. I know. But I mean, I'm just asking questions, guys. I don't even. If you were to give it to me, I'd probably vote the same. Men of the match, we're calling knockout. So, guys, let's not. I don't want to make it about Messi and Ronaldo. I want to make it about the award because it also has far-reaching consequences, even around the world. Right? Can an African player playing in Africa win it? Can a South American player playing in South America win it? America, wherever. Is it possible for them to do it? And what would it take for them to go and do that thing? Let me bring in Pride. Pride, how are you doing? Pride Excellence Media.
It's very tricky and it's easy for one to be biased based on who they believe in personally and what style of play one likes. For me personally, when I look at the award, it's not strictly for scoring goals. It's about also the influence that you have on a team. So, in a game, you might not score, but still be the most impactful player. That's why at times the stats about men of the match, they matter. Because I think they also put those in consideration. Because you might lose as a team, but individually you win that man of the match award. So looking at the top three, Messi. When you're looking at Messi, you're looking someone who's very impactful in a even without winning it.
Okay.
I think you do remember the World Cup where he lost it. He tried. We see that he was trying his level best, but he couldn't win it. And then you look at his goals, he does have individual brilliance. He just takes it from the center and put it behind the net. That's him. And then also on Messi, I'd say he's also a team player. He can connect, leading to playing a role in a team winning, not without him scoring. Okay. And then looking at Haaland, he's a good striker. Personally, he's a good striker, just like Lewandowski. He's a very good striker. He converts. But now, when you come and looking deeply to Haaland, if I were to ask, is it teamwork or individual brilliance that got to Amagol Haaland?
You're asking me. Oh, you're asking me.
Yeah.
Amagol Haaland.
Yeah. Was it individual brilliance or was it teamwork?
A bit of both, because individually he had to finish them, and the Premier League had not in their history had a striker like Haaland. He broke that record. So if you look at it, the best of the best had gone to England and not done that. And the reason why he was brought to Man City was because there wasn't somebody who did that. So you can say teamwork was always there with Man City, but they didn't have somebody to finish it. So for me, I don't rank either high. I'd say 50-50. So they had to play as the team to give him those goals, but also that team had been playing like that, but not getting those goals. And he led them to a treble with those goals.
Okay, so in a match, let me just say in 5 games, Ahalan, if he doesn't score, would you be able to see his impact?
You could be able to say his
To see his impact,
if he was not able to
influence that he
score.
has in the game. Yes.
That's unfair. Now his job is to score, guys.
No, I'm not saying that to score. It's everyone's job in the team. It's not only a striker's job.
Aye, excellent.
Serious.
Okay, so when Messi was playing at Barcelona with Xavi and Iniesta, was that individual brilliance or what? Because Xavi and Iniesta proved outside of Messi that they could win other trophies. Messi had not been able to win any other trophies outside of them. They gave him a lot of goals. About Villa, about Villa, about Ibrahimovic, Eto, all those guys complained that, spoke about how that team was made to give Messi goals. Do you hold it against Messi?
Yeah, that was a teamwork. I don't know the lie. That was teamwork. Most of his goals, it was teamwork. Yes, there were those where it was just individual brilliance, but no. Most of the goals that he scored in that season, I think it was 2009, but it was mostly teamwork.
Did he deserve the Ballon d'Or then?
I'd say yes. Oh, wait. Number 2, it was Ronaldo, right?
Yeah, I think something like that. I can't remember back then. I'm just asking you about that period. Did he deserve the Ballon d'Ors when he was playing with Xavi and Iniesta?
Because now the thing is, I had Iniesta on a very different. No, he didn't deserve it. Yeah, he didn't deserve it. Because when you're looking at Iniesta, when I'm saying someone must be impactful in a game, that means if you are not there, I can see the difference in the team on how the team plays. If you are not there, and back in that time, back in those days, when Messi was not there, because there were matches where he was not there, but still they would win as effortlessly as a team. Yeah, same as currently Man City.
Okay.
Man City, if we were to look at De Bruyne, for me, guys, that guy plays a huge role in Man City. Because he's not there, you can see. In terms of performance, in terms of a lot of things. So now, for me, when it comes to the overall, it's not only about goals, guys. It's not about goals. Because when I'm saying a teamwork goal, I'm talking about where you have to come in and tap in. That's a teamwork. But now, when you drag a ball from the center, you just connect to the relevant people, or even by yourself. That's an individual goal, individual brilliance. So I'm saying, if a team can rely on your individual brilliance when they actually need it, then I can qualify you. Not a journalist, because the journalist has their criteria that they check on. But looking at their impact, if it was De Bruyne versus Messi, I think my judgment would be different. But when you're looking at Haaland, no.
But if I break a record, if I do something that has never been done in the league, Alan Shearer couldn't do it, Thierry Henry couldn't do it, Van Nistelrooy couldn't do it, Van Persie, all of those guys couldn't do it. City couldn't win the Champions League, never done it. Yeah, they got to final, could never do it. I come in, we hit a treble. I win. I'm the top goal scorer in England, top goal scorer in the Champions League. I'm UEFA Player of the Year. Above Abo Messi, bebakhona nabo. Then is it still the same conversation? Because I could give it to KDB. I think it was 3 years ago when he broke the record. Or did he break Thierry Henry's record, or did he come close? I think he broke it. Great, you were outstanding. But then now, how come we don't afford Haaland that same thing? Also, Messi's teammate Mbappe wasn't that far behind him at PSG. Also got to a final. Also scored a hat-trick in the final. Yes, people might say penalties or whatever. Won those penalties, scored those penalties. How come we aren't speaking about Mbappe?
Okay. The funniest thing when people are talking about Mbappe's hat trick, they forget that Messi's got a brace. I don't know.
No, I know. I'm just saying they got to a final. He scored a hat-trick. So he's got everything Messi has minus a World Cup, but he's not above Haaland. Why is that then?
Okay, again, I would troubleshoot Mbappe personally. Looking at PSG games, is he the most impactful player? He's not.
Is Messi the most impactful player at PSG?
He was not.
That's why I'm saying, Guti, they've got the same stuff. They've got the same stuff. Messi just has a World Cup. So is the World Cup that more important?
No, they made it to be important this time. They made it to be important because when it's a matter of how he won that World Cup that proved that his ability to be in the individual player performing.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's on that state. But looking at Haaland and Mbappe has, because now when you look at, because you compare Mbappe and Haaland with goals, as simple. Because they need to be doing the very same thing. So now with Mbappe versus Haaland, I think he was ranked a bit higher because of the final.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Let me just, for time's sake, bring in some other people to end this. We'll do Sundowns another day. Silo, how are you?
No, what like that?
How do you see this conversation?
Well, I'll make a very short comparison and I'll leave all of you to be the judge of my comparisons.
Okay.
Now, between League One and the Premier League, which one is ranked higher than the other?
English Premiership.
Obviously the Premier League, right? Yes. Now, look at Messi's goals in League One. The overwhelming majority of his goals are against bottom 10 clubs. The overwhelming majority of his assists are against bottom 10 clubs in a League One. We are talking about League One. He's scoring a lot of goals against bottom 10 in League One. In League One, mind you. You understand? That is one aspect. That I want to bring our attention. That how can the Ballon d'Or winner be a guy whose large chunk of goals in his domestic league is against bottom 10? The overwhelming majority of his goals and assists are against bottom 10. Bottom 10 clubs. You understand? We're talking about Bordeaux, we are talking about these weak clubs. Now, what is to be said about Haaland? Haaland also, he has the same statistic. However, his is much better considering the fact that the clubs in the English Premier League are, by statistic and by rating, greater than the clubs in League One. Now, I'm comparing these two because Haaland also, he has more than 50% of his goals against bottom 10, and more than 50% of his assists also are against bottom 10 clubs in the Premier League. Do you see the relevance of my comparison between the Premier League and League One now?
And then he had to go into the Champions
would you
League
rather
and also
score-
do it versus the top-rated teams.
Exactly. In the Champions League, he was a top scorer. He was very prolific in the what do you call it? The Champions League. And now our friend here made a statement that I don't understand, because he said it's not only the striker's job to score. If we use that precedence, am I audible?
No, I can hear. Can you? Can you hear me, Silo?
Right. Now, if we are going to say that it's not only the striker's job to score,
Hey, Silo, I think there's a bit of an issue there. For time's sake, I'm just gonna Theo. What my point is about this thing, that everybody has their own views, and Masingati say a voter now. You know how different it would look.
Yeah, that's true.
Masingana criteria. Yabona ukuthi sonke man, sonke.
You know, yeah. Kona bohamba no Messi, kona bohamba no Ronaldo. Ronaldo angekho even in the picture. But yeah, here's what you're saying. To be honest with you, you know I'm a Messi fan, but there's a point that you just made that is very crucial about African players. As much as we can love European players, we need to also think about our very own. Even our coach Pete, or there are many coaches. Like I saw Drogba being the one presenting the cup. Many people didn't even see that was Didier Drogba. But I feel like there's a lot of things that they're leaving African people out of, because they don't want us to grow, guys. They don't want us to see beyond just what we have. We can even now imagine we are arguing about European players. So I get your view. I think we were narrow-minded. We were caught in this globe, Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, Haaland, forgetting that we are fighting for African. You are actually fighting for African, in minority to be at least given a chance. But guys, in my closing, Mr. OT, guys, let's let the Umadala Achati Ballon d'Or is 8 rest with his perfect record. Let him rest, man, guys. He had a perfect record. Nasimshayeleni izandla nabana abangani Ronaldo. Ronaldo will come in another life. The young Ronaldo will come and try and revive his father's career. But let's let Messi enjoy his Ballon, his 8th Ballon d'Or. And yeah, guys, everyone, I think everyone made valid points. I don't want to lie to you. Even Nami, listening in the comment section, if you saw me, I was commenting up, because I'm seeing that we are missing your point. Actually, we are so focused on one space that we have missed your point in totality. Is it fair that all the players that win it's mostly based on the popularity, the media? How often are they in the media, regardless of how good they've performed? I think there was a season where Salah, I think in the Premier League, had many goals, he broke record, but he was not given that much, respect as they're giving Haaland now. So that on its own, I think it's something to think about. Yeah, but thank you for the conversation.
Especially with these awards.
Yeah,
before you go, especially with these awards, I think what I wanted to show today as well was that we are so Europe-centric that our Champions League count so much, right? And then when I asked the question of Yegela number 1, 2, and 3, Masegu number 20, number 25, number 30, winning Champions League na 30, winning League yami. How do we rank that versus Abantu, that one, Abo FA Cup? Some of them didn't even win anything, maybe, And we think of ourselves so small that a champion of Africa cannot beat a team, players from teams that haven't won anything. You know, and this is how Europe views us and everybody views us. I'm not even saying that we're all on the same level, but what I'm saying is I'm a champion of South America. I won the Copa Libertadores. I've won the Copa Libertadores. How do we rank it? Because I had to go through continental competition, and you played in a high ranking league. Maranenzanga next. Where do we rank? Where do we put them? And I want us also to look at it that way. The other point about Ballon d'Or, my problem isn't that Umesu winile. My problem is Bangbuza why you say one thing. I ask somebody else why they say another thing. I ask people why Haaland should be in. One person says one thing, another one says the next thing. And then you start thinking, good time, man. If Sonkes feel like I saw, shouldn't there be a criteria that says we've looked at all of the players? I scored you this much for a goal. I scored you this much for a tackle. I scored you this much for a save. I scored you this much for this. Criteria. So Messi Magawina, we all know why. Ronaldo Magawina, we all know why. Mohamed Salah Magawina, we all know why. And you can make it, you know. Even Mabas Chela Gutino, ECAF is ranked number 5 or number 10 out of all of them. So if you're a Sundowns player, Ama points wako counter saw or counter saw. They don't tell us anything. So Kshuti Nati, we're falling for a storyline. Guti, those players are better. One, we're falling for a storyline. Guti, Europe is better. We're falling for a storyline. Guti, Abo Messi ba win. Guti ba win anyhow. We can't explain it. He go like I'm fighting le conversation I had with the Kuto where he said eye test. Because I'm like, eye test means different things to different people. You know?
Yeah, and the sad part is like you take, for an example, they wanna flow us to think that in order for a player to be the greatest, it must play in Europe. So actually, they are putting Europe as the main criteria for the bestness of a player, regardless of what in their own continent how are they playing. Messi, and now I'm being honest, the reason why Messi, I was so fighting with him about him when he took in Copa America. I was like, yo, Messi played his heart out and all of that. But if you check it very well, even here in Africa, you know, there are players who do that. Tabomane, game in, game out, you know, he did that, but he didn't get enough recognition in Europe as much as Abo Messi they do for South America. So I totally get what you're saying, and it shows in the long run, you know, Abo Messi, no Ronaldo, they are going to retire. But still, now we're going to start saying, I'm going to say Mbappe is my favorite. Someone's going to say Haaland is my favorite. But those people, they tell you straight with me, I'm a European. But we don't have our own stars, all Africa, that we support. Like you see in the olden days, we're supporting about Eto, you know, about Drogba. We had those stars there and we were always supporting them. I used to even support Chelsea because of Drogba, and then he left, I went to Liverpool. But I get what you're saying. I totally get it. We are not receiving enough recognition, and our players are only just going to be dominating in Africa, and sadly, that's going to be the only criteria that we rate them on pen.
Theo, we'll continue in the WhatsApp group. Guys, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, head on over to YouTube, join one of the memberships. The cheapest one is 20 Rand a month, and then you'll be able to come into, you can come into our WhatsApp group. That's where we have these conversations. Guys, you know, the most important thing about these conversations is that we have to keep the bigger picture in mind. So we have to start interrogating certain things, right? Messi aside, Ronaldo aside, top 10 aside, top 20, top 30. Why aren't there South American players there? Why aren't there African players there that play in Africa? Can you get there? Do these journalists watch the stuff, right? Outside of everything. Because the same arguments that I've been making against Messi, against Haaland and all those guys, it's very simple. They're telling you what we rate. World Cup, great, you can rate the World Cup. Everybody has a chance to get in there. There's also conversations you can have about that. But where do we figure when it comes down to our Champions League, when it comes down to our AFCON? Because if we don't start rating ourselves and asking those questions of world football, it becomes an issue. Why are there more European countries that are taking part in the World Cup when we have more countries in Africa? Why is that different? There's so many questions we can ask. And sometimes these little award ceremonies are what you can ask these questions about. Over and above just asking questions of the actual wins. For me, it's not about Messi. Messi could have won this thing. He could have been great. He could have done everything cool. Né? But then when I ask you why, one person tells me one thing, another person tells me another thing. What do we do with normal award shows that we see those things happen? So why are we so ready and willing to accept Abo FIFA best, to accept Abo Ballon d'Or as the standard bearer? You know, yesterday we spoke about Upizzo. Why Pizzo's not in Europe? Is it because Pizzo's not a good coach? He was ranked 10th. When Mamelodi Sundowns won, and I think when AHLY won, he was top 10 in the world. But now you're telling me that all 20 English Premiership teams won't take him. Then we need to ask why. Why? What is it that he can do? What is holding him back? All of that stuff. You get what I mean? So this is what we need to start doing. I love the Ballon d'Or conversation because I guess it shows where priorities lie, but also Nakona, we're being told Guti Labantu, they're the best. It's narratives again. That's one other point. Remember narratives. Narratives are the most important thing in the world. It's not just because Messi is the best. There's narratives. It's not just because Erling Haaland is the best. There's narratives. It's not just because number 15 is number 15. There's narratives behind it. And sometimes we forget about those things when we speak about our own as well. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you guys tonight for the Pirates match. I'll try to do a half and half thing where we watch both matches between the Sundowns, and Sundowns is playing AHLY, and then Pirates is also playing Cape Town Spurs. So we'll just have a watch along tonight. But anyway, we'll see. The award isn't the best in the world. It's the best for that year. Exactly, Daniel. But what is that based on? You get what I mean, Daniel? What is that based on? Are we inherently just saying, oh, not everyone is based on? How do we rank the things? Where does the CAF Champions League rank? Where does the French League rank? Where does Copa de Libertadores rank? Where do all those things rank so that we know that when we go into these competitions, I understand. As Mamelodi Sundowns, if I want Themba Zwane to be included in the world's best, right? What does Themba Zwane have to do? For example, for that season, what does he have to do in the competitions that he can play? Why is it, man? All of a sudden, French League, a win in the French League ranks higher than a win in the English Premiership. Why? How are we putting those things together? You get what I mean? But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you guys then tonight, 7:30.